Also around this time, our pal Jake Roberts would announce his retirement from professional wrestling at the age of 39 here in 1995. He's going to cite that his focus has shifted to religion. So, Ted, this sounds pretty familiar to me, similar to you and your story. Jake here, he has a shift of focus in 1995. I know that the two of you are longtime friends. Did Jake ever talk to you about this period of his life and this change that was happening for
Uh,
him, or were you not in communication?
well, I mean, because it was about the same time it happened to me.
Just like 2 years after you had retired, here's Jake getting ready to retire, and also he's focused on God.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that was the thing. It's like, again, it's kind of like, um, I had to look at my life and go, and plus, I did a lot of, when you're young and dumb, it's kind of like you look like, because wrestlers traveled kind of like rock stars. I mean, it was like the next show, right? The next
Mhm.
party, uh, you know, and then get up and do it again,
Yeah.
and and that, and you can just get caught up in that, and that's what happened to me. I mean, my wife Melanie, the fact that I'm still married to her almost makes me cry because um, she deserved better at the time, and just to give you an idea of my wife's faith, she said, "I serve a God of restoration, not divorce." She
Wow.
goes, "And I want you to know something. I'm not doing this for you." She goes, "I'm doing it because something in my heart, for whatever reason, is telling me to give you another chance." And she goes, "You don't deserve it." And she goes, "Just know I'm doing it out of obedience to what I believe God is telling me to do." And I looked at her that day and I said, "If you'll give me this chance, I'll become the man you thought you married. I will become the spiritual leader in my home. And God willing, one day regain your trust and respect." And now, I mean, again, we got married on New Year's Eve, so we just celebrated our 43rd wedding anniversary.
Fantastic.
And brother, if it were not for God and my wife's willingness to be obedient to His voice at a time when everything else in her was saying, "Leave." And I mean, I told her, I said, "I don't deserve you." But I said, I give you my word, and I know that doesn't mean much to you right now. But if you'll give me this chance, like I said, I'll become that man you thought you married and the spiritual leader of my home. And that's what I did.
And man, it sounds like Jake was trying to follow a similar path here during this time because it's to your point, Ted. You were saying, it is. It's next town, it's next drug, next party,
Yeah,
next
yeah,
woman. And I
yeah,
think that, it's a lot of fans will look at this and say, like, these guys, they were a bunch of degenerates out on the road and they were acting like maniacs. It's like, just for a moment, put yourself in the position. I say this a lot on my shows with Jake and Hacksaw, and maybe even on this show before, where it's like, imagine being whatever, early 30s, maybe even in your 20s. You're out with a bunch of guys all the time. The guys are going out for drinks. You see fans at the bar. Fans are offering you drugs, alcohol. You've got women coming up to you at the bar because, oh, this guy's on TV. All of a sudden, it's like all of this overwhelming stimuli starts coming into your life. It would be
yeah,
really hard to be a good person under those circumstances.
yeah. It's true. And I mean, that's how it happens to all of us. I mean, it's kind of like, look at all the stories you hear about or read about, movie stars who, I wonder how many movie stars have only married one person.
Oh my gosh, got to be very, very few.
Yeah, I mean, again, for all those same reasons.
Not to mention guys like Mickey Rourke or Robert Downey Jr. These guys who like really got in bad with substance abuse,
Yeah,
almost ruined their careers and their lives. Got had a resurgence. It's man, it's cool to see guys like Jake, he's on the rebound nowadays. Obviously, he's had his ebbs and flows. He found God here in '95, came back to the WWF in 1996. He would have his troubles again following that, and now here he is again all these years later doing great. So, man, interesting story to say the least.
yeah, and yeah, and of course, I give Cheryl a lot of credit too. He's got a good gal there, who's stuck with him.
Much like your wife, a very strong
Absolutely,
person.
absolutely. Like I said, if you want to give somebody a trophy, give it to my wife.
Mhm.
Give it to my wife. And I mean, Marcus today, uh, and I do think about this every time we have an anniversary. What could have happened.
Yeah,
And I could be spending my New Year's Eves by myself
right.
without my kids, or with whoever. I don't know.
You
But
know,
anyway,
Ted, somebody just interviewed me on one of their podcasts. It's a local guy here around the Pittsburgh area. Loves the podcast, and he asked me to come on and be a guest on his show, and I said yes, sure. So I get on the show, and he said, "Marcus, you're breaking into wrestling, and what advice would you give to other young people getting into wrestling?" And I said, "The best advice I can possibly give you is go the fuck home after the show, because I don't think anything good is going to happen if you're going out to the bars." Look,
yeah,
if you're young and single, then okay, maybe, but even then you run the risk of people offering you drugs or whatever. It's like, hey, what
yeah,
what if you just go home and hang out afterwards?
yeah, yeah. Go home. Good,
um
good advice. But like young, dumb, and full of it.
yep, yep, we've all been there, we've
Yeah,
all been there.